Oh, I'm on here. Just started it. There's absolutely not anybody watching, so I'm gonna give it a couple of minutes here and see if anybody shows up. Who knows? I tried to do an announcement or whatever. I've never done any of that before. I don't know how it works. I don't even know if it worked. I'm moving my space heater here. Some notice that I was going to do this tonight, but even though nobody's here, it's still going to go up as a video. So it's not a loss. I guess if nobody shows up, it'll just go out like a video. But I don't know if I'll be looking at any of the posts or anything. People, you guys got to understand. I ran. I left here at about 6 o'clock um, Thursday morning, and I drove straight through. Now my son and my wife both went with me, but I'm an ex truck driver, and if we're moving down the road, I feel safer with me at the wheel. So I drove it all the way down, all the way back, 700 and some miles, one down, 700 some miles back. But I left here on a Thursday morning around 6 o'clock in the morning. Um, by Friday night, I was sitting at my house at 5 o'clock. That's like, I don't know, less than 36 hours. I drove 1,400 miles to go down and try to see my mother. Now, the last couple times they allowed me to even speak to my mother, she could say a word or two, and then it went into a full blown out. You couldn't even make out what any words whatsoever. Any words whatsoever. And if you guys seen my video that I put out talking to the deputy down there, um, Sheriff Blakely in of Limestone County deputy at that, and I'll go into it a little bit. But if you saw the video, even the deputy said he couldn't hardly make out any words. She said, "Now this stuff happened. It was pretty much an overnight." Now my mom's got dementia. She really does, and she's been dealing with it for a while. She has had, they've said, like 3 or 4 mini strokes. She fell one time and smacked her head on the counter in her kitchen, and she smacked her head on her temple there, and she smacked her head so hard that it split. There's a damn main artery there. It split that artery, and she was bleeding all over the place. Just blood everywhere. She almost died from it, but they did. She didn't, and but she's had some problems like that, and I drove. I spent the time driving down there, man. I love my mother, and I wanted to see her bad. I mean, that's all I wanted to do when I got down there. And it turns out Satan's bride awoken that night, that weekend. Thursday night, Satan's bride awoken, and Satan's bride is my sister. There is no doubt. This woman, I'm going to try to give you just a few rundowns on her and then get off of it because that's not it. I could write a book on this woman, but this girl, she was the oldest one. She was born first. She was born. My mom and dad met out in Phoenix, Arizona, but she was born first. She was the first one. She was a female. She was my mom's baby. And then my mom and dad traveled back to Nashville, Tennessee. That's where I was born. About a year and a half later, I was born in Nashville. And then my brother was born in Indiana 4 years after I was born. Now, in that, sometime after my uh, Hey, Summer, I see you out there for sure. Uh, I've got to keep my mind focused on what I'm doing, people. There's a lot of stuff here. I haven't had a lot of sleep, and I'm sorry if my family members are out there, but I got to get this done. I can't pay attention to what's happening here because I'm focusing on what's happening here, and I just want to tell this. But oh, and I'll get to that here. Let me continue. But between after my brother was born in Indiana, me and my brother had to share a bedroom, so they got us bunk beds. Now, my mom told me because I, you can't really see it right now. Well, you can right here. There's a split that goes from about my nose right down through here, right all the way down to my chin. And my mom and dad had our bunk bed set up in our bedroom, and I was in there just messing around, and I was up on the top bunk. Now my parents never really told me about it. My mom once told me. She said I was climbing up onto the top bunk, and my sister, she was coming out of the bedroom. My brother was still a baby in a crib or something, or not that small, but we had just gotten these bunk beds anyway. I'm trying to keep up here, but I was up on the top bunk. Carrie, my sister, was coming into the bedroom saying something to me as my mom was walking out. Next thing my mom knew, I was laying on the floor and my face was split. The story was Carrie told he fell. I did that. He fell. Now, well, it'd be fine, and that wouldn't be hard to believe. My dumb ass has done a lot of stupid things in my life. Been on the side of mountains and done things most people wouldn't do, but and chances are that could have been the very thing to happen. But then you got to go a little bit farther. It wasn't even just a few years. I mean, I was still young, Next thing I know, I got my thumb. Carrie, my sister, slams my thumb in the car door. Wait, let me see if I can show it here. Where's that damn camera at? Here, our life. Let me see if I can get it focused in. You see, yeah, there you go. You can see it. My thumb. My sister slammed my thumb in the car door, and my mom had to come over and open up the door and pull my thumb out. And I've lived with that. My sister then, when I was a teenager, I was reaching down to pick up my own basketball, and she decided she was going to kick the shit out of it just as soon as I grabbed it. She took my thumb and it laid it all the way back. I wore a cast for a long time, totally dislocated it from my hand. This was just in a few years of trying to live through my up to being old 18 and being able to leave. This is the kind of shit I'm dealing with. Um, People, I want to stop and do something real quick because I told you guys I would. I told you guys that I'm asking if anybody would care to help donate some money so I can fight what's going on with my mother. I want to go ahead and get this out so that you guys know I've got this set up. If you want to help, you can. I put it in my other videos when I was talking about it. If you go to paypal.me/Watahee1. Now it's spelled the same way as my channel, WATACHEE with a 1 behind it. I couldn't get just Watahee for some reason. I had to have the 1 too. But like I said, it's paypal.me/Watahee1. And if you guys care to donate money going into the fight that I got ahead of me right now, I'd surely appreciate it. I can't, I don't deny to you people ever I'm broke. So For me to just be able to get down to Alabama this last weekend was a pretty good doing thing. And I ended up having to call my brother and telling him not to come because we were no longer allowed on the property. And according to that's according to Sheriff Blakely of Limestone County. Now, since how his name is brought up, see, I got people, I don't do notes. You guys know I don't do this, but I've got this because I want to make sure I get all this shit in. But I got to go to this Sheriff Blakely thing for a minute because when I started this channel back in 2015, he was a big part of it. If you look at my views and stuff, those views back at that time, they're 60,000, And this man, Sheriff Blakely, I was videotaping a state trooper that mom and dad and my sister, my nephews, all of them, they were complaining that this state trooper, he was sitting out here and he was pulling people over for going 5-6 miles an hour over the speed limit. And then because he lived down the street, he would come down through there when he was off at 60 miles an hour, and then write other people tickets for doing the same thing. And a couple of years ago, I went down there and me and my wife, we drove. My wife drove her car. She just bought a brand new car, and I drove my motor home. And I went down. We went down there and parked the motor home on their property, and we were there for a couple of months. And in that time, I seen this state trooper doing all that. But so I started videotaping him, and those are the videos that are on my channel. And he called Sheriff Blakely and told Sheriff Blakely that I was harassing him. State Trooper Edwards was his name. I don't even know if he still works there. But he called Sheriff Blakely and sicked his damn pit bull on me, which is Sheriff Blakely. He sent a deputy over with his State Trooper Edwards to my mom and dad's house. Now, when I was videotaping these clowns, some of it I did right from my mom and dad's yard. And I was standing on their property. Other times I'd be driving around, I'd see him, he had somebody pulled over, I'd just pull over and videotape him. Just make sure he's doing what he's supposed to do. Well, I did that on this one morning. Me and my dad sitting out on his back porch, and we look up, and here come that damn state trooper running down through there, lights on shit. Or no, he's running down through there with no lights on. All of a sudden, he makes a U-turn, flips on his lights, and pulls somebody over. And so I told my dad, hey, I'll be back in a minute. This is going online. I grabbed my camera and I ran down there and videotaped him. The video's on my channel. You can see all this, people. I'm not you can see all of it, but he didn't like that. So he called the Sheriff Blakely out there in Limestone County and told him I was harassing him. So Sheriff Blakely sent his deputy over to ID me. They wanted to know who I was. I was sitting inside my mom and dad's garage when state trooper car pulled up, Trooper Edwards, and Blakely's deputy pulled up. They walked right up on the property, didn't have a damn warrant, didn't have shit, didn't have even a claim to a law that I could have broken. And right in front of my parents and my wife and everybody, they demanded ID from me. I had the videos on my channel. So because I didn't want all this shit to go down in front of my mom and dad. My dad's in his 80s. My mom was in her late 70s. Late 70s. My dad was in his late 80s. I did not want all this to go down. I did not fight them, but I did tell them I would give them ID with on a threat. And so I did, and I asked them, it's in the video, I asked them questions. They said I didn't do any crime, didn't break any laws, nothing. They just wanted to know who I was. So I went into Sheriff Blakely's office and the videos on my channel. He didn't know I was recording, neither did his second in command. So I was discussing this with Sheriff Blakely about his care about the Constitution, seeing as how he's a constitutionally elected official. And he basically told me he didn't give two shits about the Constitution. If there's somebody in his county and he wants to know who they are, he's going to ID them, period. And he wanted to call me a sovereign citizen even back then. I played stupid like I didn't even know what he was talking about. We all are sovereign citizens, people. You just don't know it. But anyway, this same sheriff's department. Now, and what I wanted to also tell you, in his last election, there was a guy that ran up against him by the name of Eric Reed. Eric Reed contacted me. I'm living clear up in Indiana. This man contacted me from the videos I put on my channel and asked me if he could use them in his election. He was trying to unseat this Sheriff Blakely because this guy's been in power up there at that time for about 32 years or 33 years or something. He'd been sheriff in Limestone County. And so I said, hell yeah, I'll help you in any way, shape, or form. He can use all my video, and he did. He used all my videos. He did everything he could to unseat that damn sheriff. But them old people down there, they don't have a clue what this clown was out doing because they aren't out there where this clown's out doing his shit. He's in cohorts with all the drugs, the whores, the gambling. He has dog fights, cock fights. He's got rodeo shit, probably illegal, I'm sure at that. This guy is so tied up at this Sheriff Blakely of Limestone County is so tied up in all the illegal shit that my dad told me that just a few years ago, there was one of his deputies lived down the road from my dad, and he used to come down there and talk to my dad all the time. This is after Blakely and me got shit going. And my dad told me, look, you don't really want to mess with that Blakely clown. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, man, one of his deputies lived right down the road here. And I talked to him all the time. He used to come over here and talk to me all the time. And Blakely set this guy up, set his own deputy up. He told him he wanted him to work undercover with the local drug dealers and wanted to get him to get videos and shit of them selling and buying drugs and shit. And then he took the videos and told the damn guy, because he was a good cop, he told him, you're either going to go along here and do what I tell you, or you can leave. And if you don't do one of those two, then we're going to use these videos. We got you dealing dope with the dope dealers, and we're going to lock you up. And this deputy told my dad, I'm leaving this county. He sold his house, he sold everything. I'll never be a cop again. And he told me, Dad, that he will never step back in that county again until that sheriff was unseated. Now, this sheriff now, since all these videos and all this shit came out on him, he started getting looked at hard. And they caught him with his hand in a cookie jar. You can look it up online right now, people. His name is Sheriff Blakely of Limestone County, Alabama. This man right now is sitting with 13 indictments on him. Every one of them, and they said there's probably going to be more to come, but every one of these indictments has to do with him stealing money from the people that have been locked up in his prison, and their family members bring money down there to him for commissary, they call it, and they put it on the books for their loved ones that are locked up in his jails. Well, he's been skimming off the top of that shit for years, and they got 13 times they have facts that he's done this. Now his lawyers, and he just got it was busted, I think a year or maybe less than a year. It was before COVID kicked in. And this damn sheriff and his lawyers have used COVID to stop his prosecution from going forward so that he can be put in jail. He still sits as sheriff of Limestone County with 13 indictments, or maybe more by now, on him. He's still sitting as sheriff of Limestone County. That's who I dealt with on the night. I drove 10 hours down to see my mother. Got down there, went over to my mother's house, locked up tighter than a drum. Now their garage, as you see in the videos, was down, but my dad had a shop inside his garages. His cars never were parked in a garage. So when I first pulled up, my mom and dad's car's gone. So I know my nephew was not there. He's the one in control of my mom and dad's car. He's not there, so I knew my mom wasn't there. So I did my video. I then went down to my sister's, and I swear, people, the only video I didn't do, and I should have done, was the one where I walked up to my sister's door and asked her husband to see my mother, and he said no. That video, but you guys got to remember, I wasn't thinking 100%. I just drove 10 hours straight, all by myself. Or not by myself, but I did all the driving. My son and my wife was with me. My son was standing next to me when I asked this stranger, as far as I'm concerned. I've only met this man twice because my sister ran me. I was never allowed at my sister's house, and I was never allowed to talk to this guy because she didn't want me to tell him what kind of woman she was. She kept him away from me and my brother. So all he knows about me is what my sister has told him, and she's Satan's bride. Let me see. When I went, that was the video, man, I should have had when I knocked on the door. And I told you guys, I've been praying all the way down there. And this is something, man. The closer I got to Athens, Alabama, you can ask my family, I physically got ill. I got ill, man. I'm telling you, I physically got ill when I got to that town. And that's the strength, the bride of Satan down there. When I knocked on that. I told my son, I said, listen, man, I don't want to be mad. I don't want anger to come out of me. I said, if you hear me starting to, get up, I said, grab my arm and say, Dad. I said, that's all you'll have to say. But if that happens, please do that for me. Stop me. Don't let me go off. And he said, I'll do that. He didn't even have to grab my arm, people. I didn't even get that upset. I didn't know what to do. See a strange man that I know very little about. I knock on the door and I know my mom is in that house right there that I haven't seen in over 2 years, that my father died on the 21st, 4 days before Christmas. And I drove down there 10 hours to see my mother, and this stranger to me, opens the door. I know my mom's in there somewhere. And the stranger opens his door, and I ask him, I'm here to see my mother. And he says, no. One word, that's all he told me was no. Now, this guy, I'm standing there looking at him, and I don't even want to say what was going through my mind. But I looked at him and I said, you're not going to let me see my mother? And all he did was shake his head, no. He didn't even mutter another word. I turned around and I started walking away, and I stopped and I looked at him and I said, man, get your check writing hand. You better get it in shape. Better get it in shape because you're getting ready to write a bunch of checks. And I turned and walked away, and he goes, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? And I said, you see that woman in there, your wife? I said, she's getting ready to cost you a bunch of money. So you better get that check right in hand ready. My sister whips the door open and has this witch's laugh that she laughs at me. A cackle. I swear it's a cackle. She is Satan's bride, people. If you don't believe me, go down there and get tangled up with that woman. She is Satan's bride. There is no doubt. I know you people know I go armed everywhere I go. I was well armed when I went to Alabama. And I was pushed. But I didn't let them win, people. I didn't let them win. I tried to convince them I was still there for another day. I kept telling my sister and her nephew. I'd text them because they wouldn't answer no phones. My mom's got a house phone. My mom's got a cell phone. My nephew's carrying the cell phone all the time. He don't pay for nothing, never has since he's lived in that house. He does pay it. That's right. He does pay for it with my mom's debit card. That's right. I'm sorry. He does pay for things with other people's money. But yeah, today we've got my Uncle Tommy, my dad's brother, that my dad just died 4 days before Christmas, is trying to call down there and find out what's going on with my mother. They won't talk to him either. They won't answer his phone calls either. Neither my nephew that's he's living high on the hog right now, people. This boy, he is like almost, I think he's 38. Most expensive thing he owns. I think it's the brand new PlayStation that my mom and dad, that I'm not even sure my mom and dad know they bought it for him. But it was bought and paid for by my parents' money, not his. This boy won't work. This guy is a machinist. His dad was a machinist. So he followed in his dad's footprints. This boy, since he moved into my mom and dad's house, he had jobs that they started him at 20 some bucks an hour, 20 to 22, something like that. They started him at it, but he don't want to work. He wanted a free ride. So he went and moved in with Mama and Papaw. And rode them for, I don't even know how long it is now, probably 8 to 10 damn years as far as I know. And he rode them hard, buddy. Rode them hard. We went down when we were down there in my motor home and everything. My mom, we're wanting to go get some breakfast or something, lunch or something. My mom asked me if I'd take her over to the bank. She needed to get some money. I said, no problem. Which bank is it? Let's go. She told me how to get there. Me and my wife out in the car. She jumps out. Now, this was just a couple years ago, folks. She jumps out and runs in the building. She goes in, and she's in there for like 30 minutes. And I finally look at my wife. I'm like, I don't know I better go in there and see what's going on. So we jumped out of the car and went in there. She's sitting they got her in the manager's office. And so they say, oh, she's over there with the man. And so I go in there in the office with the manager. I'm going, Mom, what's going on? And she's going, well, there's money missing. There's money missing again. No, she tells me there's money missing again. I go, what do you mean there's money missing again? What do you mean there's money missing again? I didn't know there was a first time. So she went to go get some money and the money wasn't there. Why? Because the nephew that can make 20 some bucks an hour that decided he didn't want to work anymore was going to use their damn money to buy. He went to Lowe's, people. I want to tell you how low life this guy is. He went to Lowe's and he didn't use their bank card. He used their Lowe's card because my dad built shit. He built that, or he didn't build. They paid to have the house that they lived in built a while when it was new. Then my dad added garages and he did shit around the house. After a few years, he ended up putting a hardwood floor in. And he always did shit. He built a garage when he was 80 with an apartment in it off the side of this house. And so he had a Lowe's credit card. Well, my mom's in there being told how this nephew of theirs has charged up $1,200, and he did it by buying those little gift cards that you can buy at Lowe's. So he could go online with his game and play those online games and be a big shot online. Be a big shot. On big shot game, whatever game he played. Yeah. He stole every damn bit of it. My dad, before he died, told not only me, told my nephew, not the one that was stealing the money. The nephew he told this to was of that same family. It was the brother of this clown. And he told our half brother, Ray, that Christopher, that was living in his house, was robbing him blind. Robbing him blind, man. And we don't even know how bad it was. We do know it was between my sister being in control of everything and her little slave puppet, her son, Christopher. It could be a lot of money because when my sister split with her first husband, she was with him for a long time. That's where all of her kids come from. She's got 3. When she split with that man, she moved in with my mom and dad. And at that point, my mom was having some problems where the lights would get shut off because my mom forgot to pay the bill. So everybody said, well, Carrie, you're down there. Let's just kind of take care of it. Watch her, make sure the bills are getting paid, You're right there. That's why my mom moved to Alabama, is to be with my sister. So, or basically, or be near my sister. And so we didn't know what her plans became after that. We didn't have a clue what this Satan's bride had in store. My mom started talking, or wait a minute, I got to get back up here. My sister moved in with them, and she started, my mom kind of let her look at the money, the accounts, and everything that they had. And I was worried about my mom. My sister called me one day and she goes, man, I just went through mom's and dad's money and everything. I know what they got. I know how much it is. And she goes, look, you ain't got to worry about it. Mom and dad's got money to get them through. It don't matter how long they live. That's what my own sister told me. Satan's bride. I think it's been less than 8 years. My dad did everything he could do to hang on to the last $10,000 that he had. And he made damn sure my sister couldn't get to it. Now, the day he died, and from that day forward, probably even spent Friday trying to get that IRA money. Her own son told me she'd been trying to get it for some time, and that's the clown that lives in my mom and dad's house that told me that. He's so stupid, he told me they were feeding her some kind of fucking pain pill, feeding my mom some kind of pain pill, because after he would put my mom and dad in bed at night, he'd get up the next day and it might have looked like my mom got up thinking it was breakfast time. And she always got up and put tea on, put coffee on for dad. And she'd throw a couple of eggs in a skillet and something to feed dad with. And she'd make breakfast and stuff. And this boy told me that they got tired of having to worry about if my mom and dad, or if my mom was up moving around at night. They got tired of having to worry about it, so they gave her a pill to make sure she slept all goddamn night. Now, this damn pill, after my dad died and my nephew, Christopher, that's living in my parents' house, called me and told me that my dad died. This boy told me, he goes, well, if you guys are going, I told him I was going to be down after the first, and I ended up finding out on what day I was going to be down. And I told him, I said, I'm going to be down there on the 7th. And to see mom, man, I'm coming, man. I'm coming. Don't worry. He goes, oh, okay, cool. What I'll do is I'll take her off of this pill and maybe she'll be able to talk more and stuff when she's here. I've got recordings of it, people. Got recordings of him saying that. You guys I don't even know if you can even imagine what's going on right now. My mom preached all of her life, or not all of her life, I can't say that, but after my mom and dad got older and they started seeing their friends, family members sticking them in retirement homes and old folks' homes and shit, my mom always begged us kids and my dad, please don't ever let me get stuck in a home. Please don't ever do that. And we all know it. Well, after my sister left her first husband and moved down there and did all of her crap she had pulled, my mom started saying about 10 years ago that all my sister wanted, after all my mom and dad did for her and her kids, that all my sister wanted was the house, the money, and to put my mom in a home. And my dad came to me, my brother, my nephew, my half brother. My dad begged us to ensure that that would never happen, and I swore up and down it would never happen. It would never happen. My brother swore it would never happen. And I'll be honest with you, people. When I went down there this weekend, I thought there might be a chance these guys would just let me take my mom and come home with her. My sister told my other nephew that's no longer allowed on her own son. She trespassed from her mother's house, his grandparents' house, and her house. His name's Mike. He lives down there, and he's been trying to help my parents too. But his own mother had him trespass from his grandparents' house and her house, and he cannot see my mother right now. His own grandmother, he lives there, and he can't see his own grandmother. These people are using, and I've never, nobody, the only people that they'll show the document to is Sheriff Blakely, deputy, that you guys see in my video. He's the only one Out of everybody in my family, everybody that's blood to my mom's the only one alive. Everybody that was a kid of my dad's, none of us are allowed to see anything. Anything, people. We don't get to see the will. We don't get to see the medical papers that my sister has taken full control of my mother. We don't get to see any medical documents saying that my mother has no rights because she's mentally insane. We don't have anything that says my sister has everything. But some piece of paper she shows this stupid ass deputy that wouldn't know a legal document if I fucking shoved it up his ass, decided that night that it was legal. And he told me if I went on my mom and dad's property or my sister's property, I'd go to jail. They basically told me if I stayed in the area, I'd go to jail. I left immediately the next morning at probably 5 o'clock. Now, I tried to convince my sister and her thieving ass son that I was still there. I even tried to convince them that my brother was out there and that we were looking, talking to, and doing things. But I only had to do one other thing, and that, other than see my mom, and that was to hire the lawyer we hired. But that's going to take money. It's going to take money, folks, and I don't have it. So this is my live show that I'm asking you guys, man. If anybody out there can afford to help me after this story, man, I appreciate it. And I know as bad as 2020 was, man, I understand 100%. I understand 100%. Money is so tight. You got to feed your family. I know. You don't, there isn't even you don't even have to say you're sorry because I understand. I'm just asking for those guys that if you could spare it to help me, and maybe I can maybe save or try to know for sure my mom is being all right because my dad, my dad's brother, they're not accepting phone. Nobody, no, we don't even know if mom's still alive, to be honest with you, other than that deputy said he talked to my mom. Oh, well, he saw my mom. She couldn't talk. Exactly what I told him was going to happen. But I am asking folks, you guys know my channel. I don't even ask you to like, share, or subscribe. I mean, I don't do this for money. I don't do this. I just come out here and tell you guys the information that I have. That's all I do. And my whole thing is question everything because if you think you got something figured out, you're dead wrong. In this country, and with this government, and with the medical field and everything that's going on today, the minute you think you got it figured out, you're dead wrong. Because they don't. That's you're thinking what they want you to think. But that's another video, folks. That's another whole nother live. I don't want to even go there. But I don't ask people for money, man. Ever. I hate that. That's the worst thing in the world for me to have. And it wasn't that I've done it intentionally or anything. There's been times I couldn't pay it back. There's been times I couldn't pay it back. And so I hate to ask anybody for anything, but this time, folks, man, I'm trying to. While my mom's alive, once she's dead, once it's told to me that she's dead and gone. There's no fight left. My sister can have the house. She can have the IRA. She can have it all. I don't care. I don't want the money. I want to know my mom's all right. I wanted to see my mom this weekend. I even told my sister, and I've got the text to prove it, because we have known, me and my brother has known, even my parents knew that at their deaths, my sister would get it all because she's Satan's bride and she wants it all or she wants nothing. And she will destroy everything ahead of her to get what she wants. And this clown she's married to, he don't even know her. He don't even know her. The only reason she's with him is he told her about his retirement. This clown has worked in the U.S. steel industry most of his life. He's ready to retire, and he's got a big old savings account. Big money. They brag about it all the time. They brag about their money all the time. And he's let her use his money to take me and my brother's rights away from my entire family. For my entire family. People, I would love to be reading these comments, but I can't do it right now. You guys will have me crying. People, man, I'm gonna have to get off here. I can't do this no more right now. I love you guys. You guys have a good night.